Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Podcast. I'm Jason Abrams, and this is the place where we lift the curtain on the world of real estate like never before. Every week, I sit down with visionaries, pirates, and mavericks. We're here to document, demonstrate, and most importantly, demystify their game-changing models and systems. What secrets propel them to the top? And how are they living their dreams? This is about passion, it's about strategy, but above all, it's about real, tangible success. So buckle up and let's dive in. This is the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Podcast. Well, there's big businesses, and then there are giant businesses, and then there are humongous expansion businesses. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Friends, the team owner and his operations sales manager that we're about to talk to are going to do over 2,200 transactions this year for more than $850 million. That's almost $1 billion in annual production. They have a hub in Charleston, South Carolina, and teams spread across the eastern seaboard all the way down into Florida. Gang, they are going to tell us exactly how to convert aggregator leads at the absolute highest level and unpack for us the exact structure of their organization. Sit back and buckle up. This is Jeremy Wilson and Brandon Napolitano. Jeremy, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Jason. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you, man. I mean, it's rare to have someone, a team owner that does the kind of volume that y'all do. I mean, you're pacing for 2,200 units, $850 million, which is a career, not a year. So, I mean, the numbers are astounding, Jeremy. Congratulations on all the success.
Thank you. We appreciate it. We got a lot of good people.
No doubt about that. And I want to talk about every one of them. But before we do, I ask everyone the same question. How did you end up in the greatest industry in the world?
It all happened out of a poker game. Can I say that?
Is that right?
Kind of. So I was in the restaurant business for about 15 years before I got into real estate. I was working with a good friend of mine who ends up being my business partner in real estate now. But we were in the restaurant business for a long time. And the restaurant business we were in franchised out. You know, things started heading downhill. So we were like,
I got to ask you, man, when you say you were in the restaurant business, I was a young man and my dad sat me down on his knee and said, son, there's only one business you don't go into if you want to make money. Right. And that's the restaurant business. But how'd you get in? Was that a labor of love?
Yeah, no, that's interesting. It goes all the way back to 16 years old in high school. I needed a job that worked around football, and I was a dishwasher at a Pizza Hut.
Okay.
And I ended up being the dishwasher at the Pizza Hut. And 15 years later, I was the director of operations over the whole franchise. I had about 30 restaurants that I was over, and I just, promoted through the years. I really enjoyed doing that. There was a lot of freedom in the later years because I was over all the stores. It was tough. It was 7 days a week, 12, 13, 14-hour days.
I'll tell you this, man, when they introduced the personal pan pizza, my life changed because I discovered any pizza you eat by yourself is a personal one in that moment.
That's right.
And those breadsticks with the marinara and the cheese on top, for my money, Jeremy, if loving that's wrong, I don't want to be right. That's phenomenal.
That's right. I ate a lot of those. A lot of those.
I have no doubt. So you end up now looking up at the real estate business after a 15-year career. Did you know anything about real estate?
No, nothing at all, actually. It really happened at a poker game. I was at my buddy Donald, who was in the restaurant business with me. I was at his house. We were having a poker game, and just in the middle of the poker game, he's like, you should get into real estate. He was already in, just kind of doing some investing. I think he worked with a buyer or seller or a couple. And I was like, you know what? That's a great idea. So the very next, and this was in 2006. So things were starting to get a little shady. 2006, I went the very next day and I applied for the class. You got to go sit in the class back then. Within 2 months, I had my real estate license, and I was honeymooning as a real estate agent, doing my director of ops job during the day and real estate agent on the weekends. And within 6 months, Donald thankfully gave me an ultimatum. He was like, all right, you got to make the decision, man. You either got to go all into the restaurant business or all into the real estate business. And it was tough because I was making decent money doing what I was doing, but I saw what could be possible in real estate.
What did you see in those first 6 months that caused you to look up and say, okay, I can make a run at this? Was there a moment? Was there something clear to you?
There was no ceiling, first of all. Like, I was my own boss. I was my own limiting factor. Like, if I wasn't successful, it wasn't because of anybody else. It was simply because of me and my work effort and skills. I was very excited about it from the beginning, but I was also very nervous because I've always been the type that I've got to really go all in on something and really know everything there is to know about something before I start doing it. And that's tough in the real estate business. Like, I didn't want to pick up the phone. I didn't know what earnest money was. Like, I didn't know nothing at all. Nothing. That was tough for me. And Donald was that crutch for me. Donald's 10 years my senior. He knew a lot more about real estate than I did. And I sat next to him for the first several years. And, still to this day, we're business partners.
So do you crush it right out of the gate?
No, there was, 2006 and really didn't start getting going into 2007, even 2008. I think we sold 40 homes combined the first 12 months. It was a lot of knocking on doors. Then that turned into short sales because it was now 2009, 2010. And that's really where
Were you thinking, man, what did I do? I had a couple years of a run. I start to get a little momentum and then the bottom falls out of the real estate world.
It didn't feel like that to me. And, again, I came from the restaurant business, so I was used to working these long hours. So this was easier than the restaurant business, much easier. And like, I was always the first one in the office and the last one to leave. I spent the night in my real estate office many nights back then. I mean, it was just part of, I knew I had to be successful. I'd burned the bridges. I wasn't going back. I wasn't going back to running restaurants and smelling like pizza every morning when I wake up. So I had to make it work. And the short sales is really where we started to turn the corner because short sales was brand new. We became kind of the go-to for short sales for not only customers, but for agents in our area. They would refer all their short sales to us. So we really started to get busy. And then with the short sales, that got us into the REOs because we were talking to these banks. So we really started to grow then. And I remember just distinctly having the thought, there were a couple of agents in our area. All they did was REOs, no traditional business. It was just REOs. And I was like, man, we got to be careful because this isn't going to be this forever. We've got to make sure that we know how to do a little bit of everything. So we never really had a niche, and that may be bad, but it really helped us get through those tough years because we had people that could do everything. And we started growing our team fairly early as well.
Well, so the team takes off. Now, y'all are based in Charleston, South Carolina, but you have operations in Greenville and Columbia and Savannah and Charlotte and Jacksonville and Atlanta. How do you end up scaling across all these different marketplaces?
That didn't happen until about 4 to 5 years ago, honestly. We had a good thing going in Charleston. We got up to 15 to 18 agents about 5 years ago. We were an independent brokerage for many years. We started with KW, then we went independent for 10 years to the hard times. And then we looked up and said, hey, we feel like we've got a good thing here. Why don't we go repeat this in some other towns? Like Columbia, South Carolina is an hour and a half away. So let's go give this a try. And within 30 days, we kind of pulled out of it. We know that it wasn't going to work. We had to go recruit agents that knew nothing about us. We had to find an expensive office. We had to hire people. And we were like, this is getting very expensive very quick. Let's just focus on what we've got in Charleston.
Well, I want to double click on that because in our pre-interview, I said to you, so what was the hardest part? And you said, in our home market in Charleston, we were known. We were the biggest game in town. Now you get an hour and a half up the road and it's Chucktown who?
That's right.
Were you surprised by that?
No, I wasn't surprised by that. I knew that we were kind of little fish in a big pond, and, Chucktown means Charleston. So to go to Columbia, that's even, they're like, who are these guys thinking they can come to Columbia? So we struggled right from the start. Like, we couldn't really find any agents and we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't have a great value proposition. We had leads, and really to answer the underlying question here, how did we grow into other offices? It's really our business relationships with our lead aggregators. That's how we were able to grow and scale.
Well, I want to come to that, but you kind of retreat. You go back to Charleston, you lick your wounds. What happens next?
We're sitting at lunch one day and we thought, we had friends at KW still. We were at KW for 5 or 6 years before we left to go independent. Like, let's go talk to our friends at KW, see what their thoughts are. We met the team leader in Charleston. We'd already known him in the OP, and he started writing on the whiteboard all about, hey, this is what you can do. You can go to these other cities. You've got our office space. You can partner with us. We've got agents that may be interested in joining your team. So, I mean, that day it was like the light bulb went off. Like, this is exactly what we need to do. This solves every problem we had when we were trying to do this on our own. It solves everything. Within 6 months, easily within 6 months, we had offices open in, of course, Charleston. We were already there, but then Columbia, South Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina, and Savannah, Georgia.
Jen, I guess the key there is that the existing Keller Williams offices in those towns, they had the space, they had the staff, they already had the agents. And so you now just needed to show up with a culture and a value proposition. Is that how you thought about it?
That's right. And I know our avatar at this point, is newer agents that maybe they're new to that area, or they just don't have the database or the sphere that a lot of agents have or a lot of people have. And they can come into our system and immediately they'll be filled with leads. And we're going to teach them what to do with those leads, how to take care of them, how to convert them into sales. And that was really the avatar we were looking for. And KW had those agents. A bunch of their agents were ready to do business. They just didn't have the people to talk to. And we have that.
All right, so let's think about this from 30,000 feet, and then we're going to drill into it. So as we sit here today, I would call you an expansion company. You've expanded to multiple markets. In Charleston, you have the team, but you also have a hub of operations folks. Then in these local levels, you have a local leader and then a bunch of real estate agents working in that location. Is that right?
That's right, yes. Charleston is really we have a sales team in Charleston, and the ops team is based out of Charleston, or they're virtual. And then in each one of our other locations, it's really just the sales team.
So I want to unpack this in grave detail, because the thing I love about what you all have done is you've created a limitless opportunity. And you've done it and you've scaled in such a way where this hub provides a set of value pieces. And then your local leadership is providing value. And ultimately, both the consumer and the agent win, because that's a lot of value. So let's start with your hub for a second, and let's talk through who some of these people are in the operations side. The first thing you have here is a referral manager. What does a referral manager do?
Exactly what it sounds like. They are handling all the outgoing referrals, which we have an abundance of, which I'll talk about in a second, and then all the incoming referrals from agents. So we currently have about 160 to 70 agents on our team, and a lot of our business is lead sources. So a lot of these folks are moving from somewhere or moving to somewhere. So there's an abundance of referral opportunities. So Kayla manages the referrals so our agents can take that off their plate. If they have a referral opportunity, they send it in to Kayla and she takes care of it from there.
Love that. Then you have a customer service manager who it looks like has 4 folks reporting to her. What does customer service manager do? Is that client facing or agent facing?
A little bit of both, honestly. They're kind of a hybrid ISA. They handle the database management and keeping our database clean, but they're also on the back end of all the communication with any leads, any people in our database that are not looking to buy or sell within 6 months. They're the ones communicating with them as the assistant for the agent. Again, just to take that stuff off the plate of the agent so they can focus on the quicker term stuff.
Love that. Then you have the marketing manager with a handful of people. I'm assuming that's marketing.
That's right.
And then you end up here with your administrative manager and a whole bunch of admin support. What are all those folks doing? Because that's a big org chart.
They're doing a lot. All the transaction, the disbursement authorizations, where the money's going, referral sources. They are doing all the onboarding and offboarding of all the agents. They're helping the trainers. They're managing most of the foundation of what goes on here every day. All the reporting that we do internally, accountability reporting, lead source reporting, conversion reporting, they're managing all of that.
And then you have, and I think this is such a unique role in your org chart, you have a training manager. Walk me through why you have that and how you think about it.
Yes, Jess is our director of training. That's all she does. And it's a huge job, honestly. There's so much training and ongoing training that goes on. Every new agent that comes into our company, and at this point, we're bringing in 10 to 15 agents per month. She's the face of that. We've gone through a few iterations, but currently what it looks like is it's kind of a hybrid between Zoom training and module training through an LMS online. And she manages that. She manages getting those agents through our tier system to get them promoted from tier to tier alongside our team leaders to make sure that our agents are moving up in the company.
The thing that strikes me is that the majority of the headcount are offshore. You're very comfortable having your leadership team spread geographically. Walk me through that. Is there a part of you that wants to come into the office and have all of them sitting in a boardroom?
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice. So the way we've set it up, and this has changed over the years, but where we're at currently, I feel the best about every department that we have, and you named it, referrals, transactions, marketing, is managed by somebody inshore in the United States, whether they're in Charleston or they're somewhere in the States. That's who manages that department. And then most of the time in all those departments, it's all run by VAs. And right now, all of our VAs are in the Philippines, and a lot of them have been here for 4 or 5 years since we've been hiring them. They're great.
When I talk to you about it, the thing that I'm struck with, and I wish I didn't have to mention it, but I do, is you don't think about them as quote unquote VAs in our conversation. You talk about them like they might as well be living next door. And some of them have been with you for years and years.
Yeah, absolutely. We very, very low turnover on that side of the business. They are just like family. We get them on some of our team meetings, Zoom calls from time to time, and just let the team show their appreciation for them. They have some Chucktown Homes parties out in the Philippines. They send us pictures. So it's really cool to see. They want us to open a Chucktown Home Philippines, Manila, Chucktown Homes, Manila.
It's fantastic food, by the way. You could do worse, my friend.
That's right.
All right, so now that we've unpacked the hub, when I go through with you, 2/3, give or take, of the business is coming from different online aggregators, whether it's Zillow or Realtor.com or you name it. So y'all have become absolute Jedi in working those sort of leads. Would you agree with that?
Yes. And it's a lot different than the lead that I grew up on. It's a lot different than that type of lead.
Friends, you know what time it is if you're a fan of this show. We are about to unpack a model. Now, I'm going to take all the notes. If you don't get the notes, newsflash, we send them out every single week. We want you to go sign up at MREAnotes.com. That's MREAnotes.com. The notes come out as a PDF on Thursday. You don't want to miss it. Okay, we're going to teach you exactly how to convert aggregator leads. Now, to do this, enter Brandon Napolitano. Brandon is Jeremy's chief of sales, and he helps keep all of the wheels on the wagon. Brandon, how are you, sir?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I am excellent, thanks. Jeremy, coming to you, and then I'm coming to Brandon. I want to crawl into your brain, and I want you to talk to me as if you're teaching us exactly how to convert aggregator leads at the highest level. What's the most important thing? What's step number one?
Hire a Brandon.
Perfect answer. Brandon, that was the segue. Coming
That's
to you,
right.
sir. What is step number one?
You got to have the great systems already laid out before you even enter in the space of getting into online leads. You have to have a great CRM, great back-end systems, great back-end processes, an amazing admin team. You have to have all that in place before you start plugging into these online leads.
Okay, now I'm going 90 miles an hour in a brand new Range Rover. I just got it because I had the closing of my dreams. And I'm thinking, well, I want all those things, but I don't even know what that adjective means, great. And I don't even know what he means because I got a CRM, don't know if it's great. I got an admin team, don't know if it's great. I got some models and systems, don't know if it's great. Get more specific with me. What do I actually need?
Yeah, so I would say a CRM that integrates well with all these lead aggregators, right? So the big thing that we notice is that speed to lead, and we've all heard this, is the number one key to success when it comes to internet leads. So if we wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes to call, text, or email those leads, that's just far too long for us. So a great CRM integrates with all those lead platforms, so those leads go out instantly to our agents within seconds.
I love that. You got one you like? Which one do y'all use?
We use Follow Up Boss.
Fantastic. Okay, so number one, I have to have my CRM, and it has to integrate with wherever the lead source that I'm using is so that there's no time between when the lead comes in and when the agent replies. The next thing you said is systems. What did you mean when you said that?
Yeah, so big thing is tracking our conversations. It's the number one thing that we track every single day at Chucktown Homes. We use a program called CSU. And we just know that if our agents have about 36 to 40 conversations total, they should be writing one contract. That number, of course, fluctuates depending on time in the business and motivation and all those other good things, right? But having those numbers, having that clarity of conversations to appointments met to set or set to met to under contract to close, having that clarity is just so important.
I think that's perfect. And then you said I need to have great admin. In the game that we're playing with these aggregators, what role is my admin playing?
They do so much, and Jeremy already touched on it. I mean, they're amazing at what they do. So none of our agents touch the back-end systems of any of these lead aggregators. We want all of our agents to focus on buyers or sellers who are going to transact in the next 6 months. So one of the things that we have to do in our business is continually update the lead aggregators on where we're at with their leads, right?
Why?
So, well, that's important to them because they want to make sure we're taking great care of them, right?
You know, it blows me away, man. I read a stat the other day, and it's one of the big aggregators, said that they believe that half of the leads, 50% of the leads that they give to a real estate agent either doesn't get called or gets called only once. Brandon, does that ring true for you?
Definitely not on our team. That scares me. That scares me that that's true. And we hear that a lot, that these clients have called and texted and emailed the quote unquote average agents in our markets. And the average agent national statistic is 1 in 100 will close a deal, right? So if I gave the average agent 100 internet leads, they're only going to close one of them, right? And that's because they do exactly what you just said. They only call once, or they don't want to go see the exact house, so they just throw it away. It's a bad lead, right? Our agents call, text, and email, and then our admin team help them afterwards if we can't get them on the phone. So it's all about the long game and the follow-up.
And it goes without saying, in this case, one of the things that you love about aggregator leads is that it's TCPA compliant because they've opted in. And so no matter what you're doing out there, make sure you're following all the rules. Let me ask you a question. When you're updating the aggregator, Brandon, I get it. You want to be on their good side. Like, you want them to look up and say, oh my gosh, I love Brandon. I love Chucktown. I love them all. What are the little tricks that make sure that you put in the updates that they love the most?
Yeah. So for us, it's making sure that the agents are updating the CRM effectively in every single day. So one of the standards that we have is that whenever you're inside one of our leads, you're always updating the stage, right? So where you are with that client, have you met with them, appointment set, appointment met, and the time tag, how often are we talking to this lead? And our admin team know as they're updating these lead aggregators just to go into our CRM and say, okay, this is where they're at. This is the communication they've had. And the more details we give them, the better. And the more frequently we do it, the better it is as well.
Makes perfect sense to me. So the lead comes in. And would you say that the majority of these, I know that you're running seller models as well, and we can unpack that, but for this stage, the majorities are buyer leads. Is that fair?
Correct. Yeah. Buyer leads, buyer internet leads are just far more easy to receive than seller leads. There's just more buyer leads.
So am I correct in assuming that when the lead comes to you, it's usually because they've triggered something online and it's usually a specific property? Would you say that that's fair?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. So walk me through it. Talk to me like I'm an agent and I'm getting my first internet lead from one of these aggregators. What's the lesson?
Yeah. First thing we do is make sure that the agents have their phone in their hand. So all of our leads flow through Follow Up Boss, and they work on a first to claim system. So basically what happens is that they get a push notification on their phone. And as long as they're in good standing with our team, they're good on conversion, they're caught up on all their other leads, all they have to do is swipe right on the lead, click claim. If they're the first one to click claim, they get to work the lead. So we ask our agents not to take a lead unless they can commit to these three things: to call the lead in 2 minutes or less, and our best agents are doing it in 30 seconds. To go show a home the same day if requested, and I always put an asterisk here that says within reason. And then the third thing is to diligently follow up with the lead until they buy something or they ask us to stop communicating with them.
Man, it doesn't seem very complicated the way that you lay it out. I love the swiping right thing, by the way. This sounds like the dating game to me. I'm all in. It's great. So I swipe right on this lead. All of a sudden it comes in. Now I get on the phone. Am I about to embark on one of these 30-minute get to know you, LP Mama, plus everyone you've ever met in your blood type of conversations?
It's ALM, appointment, location, and motivation. And our typical first call lasts about 5 minutes long. The whole
Get
goal
out
of that.
Here. All right, walk me through the framework here. So I got appointment, location, motivation. So what's appointment?
Yep. So if you ask for the appointment right off the bat, you're going to set an appointment 70% of the time with these types of leads. So it's just really as easy as, hey, Jason, it's Brandon with Chucktown Homes. I saw you're interested in 123 Main Street. When do you want to go take a look at it?
No, come on. It can't be that easy. Is that it?
That's really it.
And 70% of the time, they're going to say, great, I'd like to go tonight or tomorrow or this weekend?
Yeah, Jason, these leads are expecting Amazon. In the same window that they have Zillow or Realtor.com pulled up, they also have Amazon products or Amazon pulled up, right? The
Man.
reason my wife loves Amazon is because she could buy an area rug and a Lego set for my kids. It's going to be in my house in 24 hours and she didn't have to talk to anybody to do it.
You say your wife loves it. I'm guessing you're searching tactical backpacks, my friend. I can tell right now. You love it too. Don't kid yourself. Okay, then, so appointments number 1, then you have location number 2. What does that mean?
So, Jason, I actually flipped these two. It sounds better to say ALM than AML. So it just does. So I personally love motivation first. Appointment always has to be number 1, can't change it. So motivation sounds like, hey, Jason, tomorrow at 2 works great for me. Let me call the seller and make sure that's okay with them. Jason, what stood out to you about this home? And that's just motivation.
I love the pool. I love the front yard, that sort of thing.
Yep. Oh, Jason, it sounds like you got kids or a dog. What do you have? Right? This is your opportunity to build rapport and relationship with these leads during that end part of the call.
Perfect. Then location is next. What's that?
Location, super easy. Jason, I love that. Listen, what a lot of my buyers find helpful is that I look for other 3-bedroom, 2.5-bedroom homes in the Wren School District that also have a fenced-in yard. If you have some extra time tomorrow, I know we said 2 o'clock, but if I find 1 or 2 more, would you want to go see them at 2:30, 3 o'clock?
Man, that's perfect. What percentage would you say yes to that?
I would say a good 50% say yes to that, right?
Man, then that is a no-brainer.
Our conversions skyrocket if we're able to set a second appointment.
Okay, I love that. Okay, so now we go out and we meet at the property. And we're in a day and age of signatures and agreements.
Yeah.
When does that conversation now happen?
It happens in the driveway. So the way we wrap up that conversation, that first 5-minute phone call is, hey, Jason, listen, here's my homework. I'm going to call the seller, make sure we're good for tomorrow at 2. Look for other 3-bedrooms, 2.5-bathroom houses. By the way, when we meet out at the house tomorrow at 2, we're going to have some quick administrative things to go over, but I can't wait to see you there. Right?
Love that.
That sets the tone, that administrative things, we're going to have some paperwork to go over. And we do a quick driveway presentation in the driveway of the very first house.
Yeah, totally transparent. I mean, you're showing them the data, you're showing them the numbers. Now, what percentage end up that you're meeting now, you're standing in the driveway, end up signing?
We have a very low rejection rate. I would say almost 95% of the time we get buyer's agency signed in the driveway.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so now I'm off and running, and then after this, hilarity ensues, and I'm selling houses just like I would sell houses. Do we agree on this?
Yes, sir. Yep.
So this feels to me like, number 1, a very high caliber lead with a very robust system that ultimately leads to a very high conversion rate. But Jeremy said something that scared the pookie doo out of me earlier. He said, we love new agents. Jeremy, are you just giving away the hottest, the Glenn Ross leads to every new agent that walks in the door?
We used to. And before we had the tier system, we would give the keys of the Mercedes to the 16-year-old. We've changed that. Now we have the tier system. So they're going to come in as a new agent and they're going to cut their teeth on the pay-per-click pond leads that have been sitting in there for a while. And we don't promote them based on production because they're probably not going to close a bunch of those pond leads. But we want to make sure that they're saying the right things, they're practicing, they're going through the motions and what they need to do to get promoted to the next tier.
So tier 1 is this apprentice agent with 0 to 5 transactions in the last 12 months. That's a lot of training. It's access to the pond. And, I had the honor of talking to one of your new apprentice agents. And this individual was telling me that there's just a tremendous amount of focus on helping them get to the next tier. Because when I heard it the first time, I was like, oh man, no one wants to start as a rook. Like, that's a tough look. But she told me that y'all leverage attention on her to try to get her to the next phase, which is the buyer agent phase.
The team leaders got a big part of that. And also our training manager, Jess, has a big part of that. And our whole goal and Jess's KPIs are geared towards getting them moved through the tiers as fast as possible, but making sure that all the boxes are being checked properly.
So on tier 2 buyer's agents, that's 5 to 10 transactions in the last 12 months. So they now get the jump ball leads and the email leads. What's an email lead?
For example, one of the lead aggregators, when a lead comes into their website, they have a whole team of ISAs for that company that are reaching out to leads, trying to get them on the phone. If they get them on the phone, they're transferring that lead over the phone to us. But then there's a large percentage of leads that they can't get on the phone, and those come pushed through as an email. So those are a little bit higher in the funnel. So we give those to the tier 2 agents to get the practice in, and they'll convert up a little bit lower.
Okay. Then they graduate to tier 3. So now it's full run. They're getting the jump balls. They're getting all the high quality, high caliber. I mean, this is the highest level on the buy side. And then you have a group that gets to tier 4, which is the senior or lead agents. Now they get everything that they had in tier 3, but they're also able to do listings. So Brandon, walk me through seller leads. What are the keys to the seller leads, and how do I convert those?
It's almost very identical to our buyer leads, right? So instead of ALM, we use CALM. And the C just stands for clarify their intent, right? So we start off with, hey, Jason, saw you submitted an inquiry to get a cash offer on your home at 123 Main Street. Is that right? Great.
Yes.
I would love to come out and take a look at your home. When would work for you?
Perfect. You're locking in what they were trying to accomplish, and then you're going to hit all the same things you did as if it was a buy-side transaction.
100%. And the thing about these seller leads is when they come in, they're looking for multiple selling options. Where we might not be interested in a cash offer for us personally, that might make a lot of sense for these type of leads because they're looking for a bunch of different options. So partnering with programs like Homeward, that allows us the opportunity to present multiple selling options to them where a lot of agents can't do that.
It's a no-brainer. Friends, if you haven't listened to the show we did with Tim Heil, where he unpacks the MOFR around Homeward and why being specific instead of general and making offers is the key, please go listen to that episode. That was an incredible show. Jeremy, this idea of presenting multiple offers to sellers is scary for some real estate agents, and it's a relatively new idea. How did you think about it when you brought it into the business, and what's the key to it as far as you're concerned?
Yeah, it's a lot different than when I was handling listings years ago. Like, it was so much easier back then because you go in there and you're listing it on the MLS. You got one option. It's complex. The thing we have to think about as team leaders and, on the training side of the business is making sure that the agents know everything there is to know about these different programs and that they can explain it, and that we are gearing the conversation towards the seller because every seller is different. We don't need to push them into traditional. We don't need to push them into cash offer. We need to figure out what their situation is and make sure we tailor their needs to them. So,
do you see it going away, Jeremy? Right? Do you think it's a fad, this idea of giving more choice to a seller? Because we've seen things come and go in the industry, but do you think this has legs?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. And, it's probably something that should have been going on many, many years ago. It just makes sense. Some people just can't wait 60 days to get their house sold. Some people don't want people coming in their house and looking at their house. They just want to, get it done.
Do the majority of folks still end up selling on the MLS with a listing agent, or does the majority accept one of these other offers?
No, the vast majority will still list traditionally for sure.
Cool. Brandon, I want to ask you something, man, because Jeremy, I'm listening to you. I'm watching Jeremy's face. We're both smiling and nodding because you're crushing every second of this. Why work inside of an organization like this? I want to wake up in the morning and I want to be Jeremy Wilson, and I want to attract people like you into my life. But I tell you what, man, in life, Gary Keller told me, you get what you deserve. What is it that Jeremy and his partners are doing that keeps a guy like you building in his business instead of going and building your own?
That's where I was at 5 years ago, Jason. I was a solo agent in Keller Williams Drive in Greenville, South Carolina. I was doing 40 deals a year, and my team leader, my KW team leader at the time said, hey, there's these guys coming up to expand to Greenville. I think you should talk to them about interviewing. I've respectfully declined. I just wasn't interested. When Jeremy opened up the laptop and he showed me all the systems and tools, I knew I needed to grow. But it's just not wired in me. I talk myself out of a lot of things because I just don't love spending money. It scares me. So every time that I got to the point of I need to grow, but I need to spend X amount of money to do it, I would talk myself out of it, right? And real estate hasn't always been a passion of mine, but leadership and service has been. So real estate's just my vessel in which I get to do that. So when Jeremy showed me a way of hey, listen, you get to lead and serve agents at a really high level with us, and you get to use these system tools and technology. You get to step out of production and help agents. That made sense to me. That excited me. I loved that idea. Why I still work here is there's very few people I trust with my family. I trust Jeremy Wilson with my family. Jeremy shows up every single day and proves with his actions and his words that I'm in the right place doing the right things with the right people.
Man, that's tremendous, Brandon. Jeremy, you wake up in the morning and you're wearing a cologne called pizza and you're living a big life, but nevertheless, the life you're living now, you look up 170 agents, this huge operations team. I know this comes with giant bills to go with it. And everyone wants to quote their revenue, but at the end of the day, the bills are still there and we have to quote our expenses also. Does it ever put a pressure on you? Do you ever wake up and say, man, this is all terrifying. These people that trust me and love me and we're all on this ride? Or do you wake up with complete sense of knowing on where you're headed?
I do feel like it's a mix. It is scary. I mean, you don't know what tomorrow is going to hold. Every day you're never perfect. We're learning every day. We just had this conversation with our leadership team last week. Is like, you're going to make mistakes every week. You're going to find gaps in your business and holes and problems. And it's just part of growing and scaling a business. Like it's okay. There's no need for us to stress out. We're just learning as we go and learning from others. It's scary for sure. There's probably 200 people, if you include admin, that are depending on this business to run each and every day. So we don't take that lightly. And that's honestly, Brandon's passion, my passion are very similar. Like, we love seeing people win. We love the stories of the agents that came in here and they were a preschool teacher making $30,000 and now they're making $150,000 a year later to take home to their family and doing things they never did before. And that's the stuff that really keeps me going. I love hearing those stories.
I promise you this. You got some smart ass out there who's saying, oh, they might sell a lot of units, but they don't make any profit. I know it. Now, I've had the benefit of going through your P&L. I'm not going to out you, don't worry. But I know you make a ton of profit. When you think about each of these locations, if you were coaching people who were going to start an expansion locations, what profit margin would you be telling them to target in each of those locations?
Our model is 25% profit at the location level. And our numbers are going to sound a little wacky because we work with a lot of lead aggregators, but our cost of sales, and we have agent splits. So our cost of sales model for a location is 60% cost of sales. We run at 15% expenses, which may sound lean, but that's the benefit of being with the Keller Williams to help leverage some of that stuff and having scale, and then 25% to the location bottom line.
I love that. And, because the aggregator business, a lot of them are going to have a success fee, and the audience wants to know, when you're doing the math on these, do the success fees come off the top before your agent split or not?
Success fees always come off the top before the agent split. And then we split it with the agent. Our portion goes towards expenses, and then we've got the profit at the end of the day.
Love it. Absolutely love it. All right, Brandon, I'm coming to you. And then Jeremy, I'm coming to you for one last question to close it out. Brandon, there's a difference between succeeding and leading. And you, sir, are a representation of both. You are an incredible solo agent, and now you are leading a large group. What did you have to learn? What's been the biggest difference between succeeding and leading at scale?
We have 3 leadership principles at Chucktown, and Jeremy was kind enough to let me create these. Number 1 is servant leadership. Number 2 is leading by example. And number 3 is extreme ownership. And I just believe that if you implement all 3 of those things, even keel across the board, you can't help but become a successful leader. 100%.
Pure gold, my friend. Preach on, brother. Jeremy, final one for you. You look up. You've come an awful long way. It sounds like you're just getting started. You're running a huge business. At this point, you can pretty much live wherever you want. You could probably travel wherever you could drive whatever you want. What does money mean to you now?
I mean, I like money for what it's done for me, but money's really not important, to be honest. What's important to me is seeing people succeed and changing folks' lives. And, it happens a lot inshore, but we talk about the lives we're changing overseas as well in the Philippines. If you could just see some of the stories that come from them as well as the stories from, agents and operation partners in our business in the States. It's just incredible to see that this little business that started in Charleston has impacted so many lives. And, we've got a long way to go.
It's not a little business anymore, my friend. Jeremy, Brandon, I'm so honored to have you guys. Thank you so much for everything you're doing for the industry. I'm a huge fan of Chucktown. I love what you guys are doing. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks so much, Jason. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Do you love these guys? Do you love these guys or do you love these guys? To know these guys is to love these guys. They are so humble, they are so straightforward, and they are so clear on what servant leadership means. Gary Keller, and if you're new to the program, Gary Keller, Jay Papasan, Dave Jenks, may he rest in peace, they wrote the book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, which is the namesake for our show. And Gary always says that servant leadership is the highest form. He said if you simply walked around all day long and asked people, how can I help you? How can I help you? How can I help you? You would be sitting in the highest seat of servant leadership. And that's what I hear when I listen to Brandon and Jeremy. They woke up and they asked two questions. Number one, how do we help real estate agents accomplish all their financial goals? And to that end, they have streamlined every system and operation they have. The whole team organizes around this idea of keeping agents doing the activities that they're best at doing, and their admin team does everything else. They've also managed to shorten all of the things that matter most to simple lists. 3 things, 4 things at the most. It isn't their 31 secrets to an appointment. It's their 4 secrets to an appointment. It isn't their 15 levels of culture. It's 3 levels of culture. Then they ask the question, how do they give the client the best client experience? How do they help them? And Jeremy talks about that. And then they even ask the question, how do we help the people that work here live their best line, even if they're in the Philippines? And here's what's really interesting. When you get deep into their business, you find out they didn't go through a staffing company to build that organization. They built it through relationships in the Philippines, 1 employee at a time. Gang, there's no secret to why they're growing at such an incredible rate. Number 1, they have leads that convert at an extremely high level. Number 2, they have mastered the art of converting those leads. And number 3, they wake up every single day with a servant's heart. My guess is they're just getting started. Go forth and do likewise. There it is. That wraps another episode. Friends, I don't know what you're taking out of this. I really don't. I'll tell you what I want you to be taking out of it, which is these are the people that are having tremendously big lives. And the reason it's happening is because they're setting up the models and systems to do just that. Gary Keller told me that leadership is teaching people how to think so that they do the things they need to do when they need to do them, so that ultimately they get the things they want when they want to have them. And that's what I want for you. You're all leaders, but it begins with leading ourselves. If you're enjoying this podcast, I want you to click the subscribe button anywhere that you get your podcasts. We want to be the voice in your head every single week, and every week we're dropping new content. We also send out a newsletter at the conclusion of every show to make sure that you get the highest points and the models and systems that were discussed. So if you want to sign up, I need your name and your email address. Head over to the millionaireagentpodcast.com. millionaireagentpodcast.com. Enter your name and your email address, and every week that newsletter will be in your box. Friends, you just went on a journey. I hope that what happens between now and the next time we meet is absolutely wonderful for you. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week.
This podcast is for general informational purposes only. The views, thoughts, and opinions of the guest represent those of the guest and not Keller Williams Realty LLC and its affiliates, and should not be construed as financial, economic, legal, tax, or other advice. This podcast is provided without any warranty or guarantee of its accuracy, completeness, timeliness, or results from using the information. Warning: you must comply with the TCPA and any other federal, state, or local laws, including for B2B calls and texts. Never call or text a number on any do not call list, and do not use an auto dialer or artificial voice or pre-recorded messages without proper consent. Contact your attorney to ensure your compliance.